Steve is going to split them equally with his two friends. Okay. Steve has 10 cookies. Let's draw the picture of this because this will just be fun. How many cookies is that? And of course, these cookies are our favorite, which would be chocolate chips. No oatmeal, please. No raisins. No macadamia nuts.
No macadamia nuts.
Ugh.
What about cheesecake? No.
We're still.
No.
Okay, so let's say Steve's friends. Steve is friends with Fred and Bill. So Steve has taken these 10 cookies and he needs to divide it equally 3 ways. So he does it like this. He does, well, here's our problem with this. We're taking 10 cookies and dividing it 3 ways. We know everybody's going to get 3 whole cookies. Let's write that down. So Steve gets a cookie, Fred gets a cookie, Bill gets a cookie, Steve gets a cookie, Fred gets a cookie, Bill gets a cookie. Steve gets a 3rd cookie, Fred gets a 3rd cookie, Bill gets a 3rd cookie. If you do the division problem up till this point, right now we take whatever's left over and we say it's a remainder of 1. Which, because we have 1 cookie left over, but if Steve has given everybody a remainder of 1 cookie, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything to us. Okay. Well, in real life, how would you do? What would you do with this cookie in real life? Elijah? You would cut it into thirds, and Steve gets a 3rd, Fred gets a 3rd, and Bill gets a 3rd, which is what the answer written as a mixed number would be, 3 and a 3rd cookies. Now, how do I get that, rather than having to draw those pictures all the time, how do I get that with my problem over here? Well, it's a pretty simple little thing. When you come up with the remainder, okay, take your remainder, write this down, your remainder is the top of your fraction, which in math we call the numerator. And since you're cutting it into this many pieces, that's how many equal pieces you want, the divisor is the bottom of your fraction. So we had this whole number 3 we got when we divided out. When we ended up with a remainder, you take your remainder, it goes on top. Your divisor, whatever you were dividing by, goes on bottom, and that is the fraction that you end up with. So that's how you make the mixed number. Let's look at a harder one. Let's say you have 7 into 15. 15 cookies. Divide them up into 7 equal groups. How many times does 7 go evenly into 15? Lance? Twice. Here's my remainder of 1. What fraction am I left with now? Again, using the little thing where this is the top and that is the bottom. What fraction, Paige?
1/7.
Yeah, 2 1/7 of a cookie per person. And it's a pretty simple little thing. So the book is now going to ask you, it'll probably tell you to write your answer as a remainder or write your answer as a fraction. Please note, though, that almost always for story problems should always be written like this, because usually in a story problem you're talking about real things and there can be no remainders of real things. If you're just doing a straight up division problem, yes, you could have a remainder, but in a story problem you can't have a half of a person, or a remainder 1 of a person, or a remainder 12. I guess you could have a half a person. How about this one? What if I had 8 into 230 Divide that out and write me the remainder as a fraction. Divide it out and write me the remainder as a fraction. Remainder as a fraction. Give me a second to do that. Eight into 235. And eight doesn't go into 2, so you shouldn't have anything above the 2. 8 goes into 23 how many times, maybe, Joan? 3 times is 24. That seems a touch high. I can't take 24 and 23, so I think we'll rethink that. It should be how many times? 2 times, which is 16. Subtract, bring down. 8 goes into 75 how many times? Brooklyn? 8 goes into 75 how many times?
900.
Which is 72. And then rather than having a remainder of 3, I want to write that as a fraction, maybe as 29 and 3/8. So that's